Hi there, my name is Captain Dan Cohen. I'm with Williamson County EMS, and I'm here with Dr. Tanya Glenn, and we would like to welcome you to our new program, Rescue You. We're here to talk about your mental health and what you can do to improve your situation in your job and your life. Tanya, today, what are we going to talk about?
Today we're going to talk about anxiety.
Anxiety, all right. Well, anxiety is certainly something that I've felt in the past, and actually I'm feeling it this morning because I'm not used to being in front of the camera. But I'll start with some questions that are from you, the viewers, and that's pretty much how we'll do this show. You guys are going to send in the questions, and we'll do our best to answer these questions for you. So, our anxiety question for today: how do I get over the feeling of not being good enough? We work in an industry where the only time feedback makes it to us is when we have failed. The bar for success is so high that at times it feels like it will never be reached. There are so many things out of our control, yet the outcome of that situation still lies at my feet when things go wrong. I love this work and still get excited every day by it. I just also have this feeling like it will all be gone tomorrow. So, really, this is something that I think a lot of us tend to feel when we work on emergencies and things that are super high stress, that failure is not an option. So how are some ways that we can deal with this feeling of not being good enough or not being ready for the challenges that we may face?
I am so glad this question was asked. This is really pervasive in public safety. And everybody who comes in here talks about how you're just one mistake away from the end of your career, and you always feel that pressure and you feel under the gun. So I think that the biggest thing to understand is that when we work in public safety, what happens a lot of times is you hear the worst stories, and sometimes you see or you witness some of the worst sort of situations going wrong, and it plants this seed. And the seed is self-doubt. And when you're stressed and worried and fatigued and you're going through life and life's issues, that seed of self-doubt sort of fans its ugly fire, and it gets a little bit worse. The biggest thing that we tell our clients and our patients is that muscle memory and practice and repetition are your biggest friends in terms of your performance. What that means is that you get after the skills that you're the worst at. And really, does anybody want to practice the stuff that they're not good at? No, we want to practice the stuff that's really smooth.
That's right.
But it's so important to take your absolute worst skill and go do clinicals and go to classes and talk to people who are senior to you, who are really skilled at it, who've got that magic touch, who can show you exactly how to do it, and get really comfortable with your skills. And then what you do is part of that also, now this is the internal sort of, this is even harder than the practice, is that we call it cognitive thought stopping. So when you're on a call or you're en route to a call and those sort of demons start running around in your head of, oh my gosh, you can't do this, and what if this goes wrong, and what if that goes wrong? What we like to do is we like to train you guys to go through every possible scenario, to really practice in your head how you're going to go and approach every possible scenario that happens with success. In other words, so if the demons of self-doubt have kicked on, what we really want you to do is squash those and work on squashing those. And people come to therapy for that. And what that does is it really builds your awareness of how you speak to yourself and your internal dialogue. And we teach you how to take that internal dialogue and turn it into a much more productive, positive, if this, then I'll do this. If this happens, we'll do this. Those are the kinds of things that we train you to do. And then we set you on your way, and what we notice is that the anxiety and the stress really starts to come down.
I think in the organization where I work, at least, we're very fortunate in that we have your back when it comes to making a mistake. So even though you may have that fear, that anxiety of making a mistake or hurting someone, at the very least, where I work, we have your back. If you make a medical error and you admit it and you want to talk about it, then it's something that we're going to work with you on and we're going to forgive. And I think thinking about those other things may help too, that everybody's been there. We've all made mistakes. Paramedics do it, cops do it, doctors do it. everybody makes mistakes, and the stakes are high, but it's something that we can all get through together. And I think that's definitely a great way to look at it too. What can you do in your head on the way to the call?
Absolutely. You know, and Dan, the other thing is that our mistakes, that's how we really truly learn. If you take a 20-year medic or a police officer, they will talk about their biggest mistakes that they've made in their career as the most pivotal learning moments that made them better in the long run. The key is to own it, to lean into it, and to work to correct it and fix it.
Right. Excellent. We have another question about anxiety. Is it normal to become more anxious about events that may not have necessarily affected you early in your career? Is this a sign that someone may be suffering from an underlying condition? I know for sure that there are things that when I started, they really didn't freak me out too much. And as I moved on in my career and I knew more about the situation or really had a better understanding of it, I had a little more depth of concern and curiosity about it. This isn't my question, but how would you answer this question?
That is 100% legitimate. Absolutely. You know, when you come out of school, half the time you're in your head with your protocols. You're just trying not to mess stuff up and kill the patient, and you're so wrapped up in you know, calculating drug ratios in your head and not getting things wrong. And what happens, you guys, is over time you see some things, and simultaneously, like in your personal life, you have children or you have aging parents. And so what happens over time is the calls morph less into protocol and not killing people, and it becomes more about knowing the gravity and the true gravity of certain situations and being able to think on your feet and manage that. And of course, kid calls, when you're young and you have no children, you're just trying not to screw up this pediatric patient. Right. But when you're older and you have kids, I mean, it just completely wallops you and it kicks your butt. And that is 100% normal. I always say, you know, wisdom is hard earned, but with wisdom, you get gray hair. We all do. And so that is 100%. We hear that all the time in public safety, is how when I was kind of young and stupid, it didn't bother me. And now it's like, oh, this stuff freaks me out. Absolutely.
Is it also possible that that may be a sign of burnout or some kind of delayed stress?
No, we look at burnout in terms of apathy towards the job and distaste of, you know, the public and patients and those kinds of things. You know, and cumulative stress is definitely what it does, is you feel it taking a toll. This is kind of more like anxiety about performance and certain types of calls bothering you.
So if anything, this person is really guilty about caring about their patients or their job or whoever they're dealing with. Well, that's horrible. Bad on them. All right. One more question about anxiety, Tanya. How can I keep anxiety at a manageable level while at work with ever-increasing demands?
So the key is to get ahead of it and to stay on top of it. This is a daily routine. This is not like a sort of a one-shot kind of wonder. This is absolutely imperative that you guys manage your stress continuously. And what we're doing with that is we're just really working, as you all know, we've kind of changed stress management to resilience. And so your resilience is the stuff you're practicing every day. Your hydration, nutrition, rest, and exercise, your family, your faith, your friends, your hobbies, your life outside the job, right? So as you go into a 24, of course, you're producing more adrenaline, glucose, and cortisol, and you're elevated, and your vigilance is up. And a lot of people think that that's anxiety, but really, truly, that's just being ready for whatever is going to be handed to you that day. So what we want you to do is come to work rested, come to work nourished, come to work hydrated, come to work ready for whatever you've got. And the better you take care of yourself physically, the better you're going to feel psychologically.
So, is what you're saying is don't let your hobby be being anxious.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. I think that makes sense. Dr. Tanya Glenn, thank you, and thank everybody for watching Rescue You.
If you have any questions you want to ask us on Rescue You, go ahead and scan this QR code and send them to us. Please understand, in no way is this a counseling session or any sort of clinical advice. If any of the content has triggered you, or if you feel like you need help immediately, please reach out to your local mental health professionals or to any peer support teams that you have in your area. If you're in a crisis, here are some national resources for you to contact immediately.